It's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it. If you've ever thought about doing what I do, becoming a certified sex and relationship coach, this is your sign. The next Somatica certification training starts this month on October 24th, and you can get $750 off your enrollment with code TKC25. Somatica is the world's leading sex and relationship coach training, and getting this certification completely changed my life. It not only helped me become the kink consultant, it's also where I learned to connect deeper, communicate better, and guide people toward pleasure without shame. Let pleasure be your guide on an exciting new career. Sign up today at somaticainstitute.com and use code TKC25 for $750 off. Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Kink Consultant. I'm joined by Lee, the founder of ConCations. Welcome, Lee.
Hey, I'm really honored and excited to be here.
Well, I'm really excited to have you. A little bit of background for the listeners. I was on FetLife and I saw something about ConCations and a kinky cruise. I went into sleuth mode and I was like, who started this? When is it happening? And how do I get involved? Literally, I emailed support at ConCations because I was like, hello, I need to talk to somebody. And Lee was gracious enough to email me back within like 2 hours so that we could have a chat. And Lee, the thing that like mostly got me, and we're going to talk about this today, is the kinky cruise. But ConCations is a huge operation, so much bigger than just a cruise.
Yeah, and that is such a great reaction. That's exactly what I want to hear. That's the reaction we want to have when people see our stuff. So I'm happy to hear that. But yeah, we do a few events a year right now. I wouldn't call us a huge operation, but definitely a growing operation. And we've been around for about 10 years. The name ConCations basically just means convention or conference and vacation. And the concept basically is that unlike your typical hotel takeover, you know, we've all been to the Kink Con, the weekend Kink Con at the airport, Holiday Inn Express, and they're great. You know, we love going to the local, you know, regional takeovers, and it's a great opportunity to get away for a weekend and meet your tribe and your friends and all that. But they always left me wanting. I always came home absolutely mentally and physically exhausted, and I felt like I was missing something. And I had started going to Hedonism 2 Resort in Jamaica with my partners and friends, and I realized this would be the perfect place to do a kink event. And there's not a lot of kink happening at this resort because it's mostly swingers that go there. I also am a little bit of, my wife and I are also a little bit of swingers as well. We dabble and play, but we're really more lifestyle kinky people. And I was like, this resort is fun, but it would be so much more fun if we had a bunch of kinky people here. So we started doing events there about 10 years ago. And instead of doing the weekend con where you show up and it's just go, 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 go. We have to go get lunch now. We have to go get dinner. Who's going to go with us? I have to see all my friends because I only have 2 days to do it, if that. I have to schedule 5 scenes in 1 day because I want to get them all in with all my friends that came from out of town that I never get to see. And you just leave like not really connecting on the level that you want to connect. It's just quick connections and you feel exhausted and you don't really get to put in the time that you want and the energy to really connect on a deep level with people. And so I always just felt lacking, and the drop sucked after those cons because not only did you have some good moments, but you also felt, hey, it needs to be 3 more days. And then I also still need the day after vacation as a holiday, right? So then, but you have to go to work usually. So it's really hard. What we've done is we've taken that concept, but we've taken it to resorts and now cruise ships. And so you have a whole week and you don't have to go out to eat or waste time and energy and stress trying to organize those little outings and all of that because the food's provided. It's there. We all just go and have meals and share that space together. It's so relaxing. And you have a whole week to do it and you're not rushed to get your scenes in. You're sharing that space over the course of a week. So you really get to know people and you meet lifelong friends and you really get to know them. And then for the new people, it's an immersion event. So you will come out of a week-long experience at one of these events. It's like you've been in the lifestyle for a year. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but you know, it's like you've been in it for a really long time. You're not new anymore when you leave.
I love that. I go to a lot of national conventions. So like I'll travel and spend the weekend at a hotel and everything you just described is spot on. The like rushing around 5 scenes in 1 day, trying to catch up with all your friends and have the kinky fun you were showing up to have in addition to the social aspect. You are 100% correct in that. And I'm like, okay, and the drop is tough. And you don't feel like you're on a vacation because you feel like you're on like at an actual just convention, like a work conference almost.
Yes, exactly. So we take the work conference aspect. There's a million programming things going on, tons of workshops, and we really focus on high level education, world class presenters. We really take the time to interview and get to know the presenters that we bring in and make sure and try to go see them in person if we can, vet them, and make sure they're modeling good consent behavior and they really know how to teach, not just that was one of my pet peeves at a lot of those like regional cons is that the presenters they might be really good at vlogging, but they don't know how to teach
Yeah.
vlogging. And you'd go to the workshop and you'd be like, oh, I can't learn from this person. I need to just leave right now because I'm wasting my time. Some of them had really good presenters too, but I don't mean to knock them all. But that seemed to be a theme at a lot of those regional cons. And I'm not saying we're perfect either because, it's hard to get good presenters, but we do focus on having really good presenters and workshops that know how to teach as well. And so that helps too. But we have the fun programming as well. We do things like Kinky Olympics, which is hilarious
What
and
is that?
super fun. Kinky
Yeah.
Olympics, it's getting really popular at our events now, but we do things like silly things. You can see the different events that we change it up, but at the current events that we have on our website, you can see some of them, but like butt plug, shot put, tied swimming, like races where your legs are tied, things like that. They're just really silly and sexual. I think we have an edging and orgasms one coming up here next week at Swinkation at Hedonism, where you have to try to edge your partner but not let them go over the top. And
Oh
then
my
the judges just judge it on silliness and performance and fun. It's a very serious competition that's not at all serious and it's very whimsical and it's super fun to compete in. It's also super fun to watch. So we always have a huge crowd, even if people are not doing the games. And so it's just a really fun, sexy, silly, entertaining thing that we do. And we usually have 2 or 3 events during the course of the week. And each session usually has a couple of different events as well. So there's maybe like 6 events. And then we have the opening and closing ceremonies, kind of silliness as well.
Oh, I love that. I love a good opening ceremony. A closing ceremonies just make me sad because I'm like, what, we're supposed to celebrate this being over now?
Yes.
You did say at the start, you're like, oh, well, we're not that big. I always think anyone who's organizing anything of size in the kink world as being big, it's not easy to do. It's hard because it's not like Facebook or, where you put up a Facebook event. Yes, we have FetLife, but not all Kinksters are on FetLife. It's a difficult thing to do. People have to come find you a lot of the time. It's not like you're
Mhm.
advertising to the masses about your cruise or any of the other events. So I think
Yeah.
anyone doing something at all at scale with kink, I think that's huge. So I get
Well,
super
thank
excited by
you.
it. I don't want you to like minimize it.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that because the organizer in the lifestyle world, there's not a lot of love for them and there's not a lot of appreciation for the amount of work that goes in. And I will tell you, I mean, I have a full-time vanilla day job. And I also do this full time. There's no doubt about it. It's more than full time hours to run ConCations and the 3 events that we currently do. And so it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
And
I have
I would
no
love to
doubt.
do it full time. I just don't, it needs to pay full time before that ever happens. But I enjoy it. And that's why I do it. I'm just passionate about doing it.
Yeah, so many people think like, oh, this is a big money making thing. Organizers rarely leave with money.
Correct.
It is a labor of love. It just takes so much to put this together and put a
Yeah.
seamless event together. And I think that
Hmm.
I just like to mention it because I think there's a lot of like, wait, it's a cruise. You can't expect it for nothing, right? But at
Yeah.
this point, I do want to mention that I negotiated with Lee before he came on. I was like, my listeners need something, Lee. So I would just encourage, and we're going to talk about the cruise a lot more.
Our company's called ConCations, ConCations. And so concations.com is our main website. But then the events all have websites too. So kinkycruise.com, kinkycaribbean.com are probably the 2 main events. We also have another one called Swinkation, which is Swinkation. That one bridges the gap between swingers and kinky people. So they're swinky. And that is a super fun event. And I'm leaving tomorrow for that one in Jamaica, actually. And I'm very excited about it.
So it's TKC50 for $50 off. We've got an active code going that can be used
Yes.
on Kinky Cruises or Swinkation for next year.
Yeah, Kinky Cruise for April and Kinky Caribbean for March right now.
Perfect. So that's TKC50 for $50 off. I need you to go check it out. But let's get back into the episode for now. I think it could be a 3-episode series. The topic of the difference between swingers and kinky people. And you bridge the gap because you exist in both worlds.
You're absolutely right about that. And it's funny, our hosts for Swinkation next week are called Swinky Life, and they're a poly quad. 2 of them are the Accidental Swingers podcast.
Yes.
They're pretty popular. You've probably heard of them. You check them out if you haven't. Their podcast is really good. And then they ended up becoming swingers kind of as empty nesters. And two of them were also kind of kinky first. And they all kind of went from one world to the other. So the swingers became kinky and the kinky people became swingers, and they ended up becoming, two married couples that are a poly foursome with dating the other partner as another, they call them other significant others. And it's just such an amazing thing overall. And I love them as people, but I also love their dynamic and the way they operate. They travel together, they swap partners, and they have other significant other weekends together. And they also run Swinky Life, which is a website and educational platform. So they teach workshops. They also run all of the education at Naughty Nollins, all the presenters and workshops there. So they're really into the educational side and they're very good at it. Their workshops are very popular. I ended up teaming up with them for this event because I wanted to do something that did bridge the gap. And that's exactly what they do. They live in this world. And so they did a phenomenal job last December at our first one hosting the event. I'm excited to see them do this again.
I wish I had heard about this in time because it sounds so interesting. Although admittedly, I am not a swinger, but I think everyone knows I go to sex parties. I go to like swingers parties. It's a lot of fun. I've made very good friends. I've had episodes with like people I've met at these parties. Like we just developed such a friendship. They have interesting stories. But I even noticed that it's not so easy to find the parties that bridge the gap well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people are into both. It would be remiss of me not to mention though, for people who want to explore both, there are a lot of similarities. There's a lot of overlap on the type of person who would be interested in both, but there's also a lot of differences. And I know we talked about this. Like,
yes.
How do you navigate those differences?
You have to be very mindful of it from the beginning. And I think, the Swinky Life people have a class called Bridging the Gap, and they talk about the specifics of the differences. But I think the big obvious one that we all know is the different kind of models or versions of consent practices in each community. I'll exaggerate a little bit here, but the kinky lifestyle is going to be like, don't even come near me or touch me without consent. Don't touch any of my stuff without consent. And the swinger side is going to be more like, I touched you already and let's play. And that automatically means anything but anal. I respect both, but I think I'm primarily a kinky person. So I'm more on the don't touch me without consent. But if somebody comes up and gives me a hug, I'm not going to be upset about it either.
I don't even think that's exaggerating. I feel like the swingers community is like dating in the early 2000s, and then the kink community is like dating now. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of where we are with consent. And maybe that's about the age. Speaking of, would I be in the normal age range of people at this cruise?
Yeah. At our events, I think the sweet spot is probably 35 to 55. That's where the majority are going to fall in. We do see outliers for sure. There's going to be some people in their 20s and early 30s, and there are going to be older people too. We've had people in their 70s come to our events, and they're so much fun. They end up being like very popular in the group.
I have talked about this before. The people who come in early in their lives, like they understand this is a lifestyle they want to live in their 20s. I love to see that because that wasn't me. As much as I was like a dominatrix at 25, geez, at 24. Okay, maybe I was in it, early, but it wasn't something I ever felt like, oh, this is for me. I did it as a job and I enjoyed doing it, but I didn't take ownership of it in my life until like maybe my later 20s. And then people who you meet are like, I've always wanted to do this. And on my 60th, I decided to do it for my birthday, or I guess even 70th.
Right.
And then they finally like live authentically and explore the things they've always wanted to explore. Like I always celebrate that because I'm like, it's never too early or too late.
Agreed. I wish I had started earlier than I did. I didn't really get into it until my probably mid 30s or early to mid 30s. And I knew that I was kinky when I was probably in my teens. I'm a little older. I'm in my early 50s. So I think when I was in college, for example, there was like the internet was brand new. There was no kink community on the internet when I was in undergrad. The only way you could find out about a kink event was to go to the sex shop on campus and look at the bulletin board, and then you would see like leather event or something. But that was scary because my only view of what that was from movies and TV, and it wasn't portrayed in an authentic way.
I would argue that's still the case, but because we have the internet, we have more access to what it actually is. But if you just look at media, it's always this like high-end, intense leather scene situation and not how it actually looks when you show up. And I know the movies do that, but there's just no real representation. I do want to talk about your own experience with it. So like, yes, you discovered as a teenager. I should do a whole episode where I just talk about people who like explored kink before, or like their experience before the internet came along, because like that's a whole other world. Yeah. But for you, I talk about kink versus fetish. A kink being a nice to have, a fetish being something you need. And a fetish doesn't need to be like feet or spanking, which is mine. It can be power exchange, which actually might be more mine too. You know, like I need to imagine or be taking part in power exchange to finish. Do you, if you don't mind answering, like would you say you fall
No.
on that need side or the nice to have side? Hey Kinksters, ready to take your fantasies offshore? If you've ever dreamed of exploring your kinky side surrounded by sun, salt, and a whole lot of sexy adventure, check out kinkycruise.com and use code TKC50 for $50 off per person. Now, if the high seas aren't your thing but warm beaches, tropical drinks, and kink-friendly company are, head to kinkycaribbean.com and use the same TKC50 code for $75 off per person. Whichever you choose, cruise or Caribbean, don't forget to pack your toys.
No, 100% need for me. Power exchange is my overriding. Well, actually, I'll say it this way. Intimacy is my overriding kink or fetish, but power exchange is the way I get there.
That's the vehicle to get you there.
Correct.
You are not feeling like it's intimacy unless there is power exchange and that vulnerability that goes along with it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know. That's like a major turn on. Totally get it. Okay. And like, if you're open to it, I'd love to share more about what is your relationship dynamic right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. I am in a long-term 24/7 power exchange dynamic with my wife. We've been together for 10 years, 12 years, give or take. And we were always in a DS dynamic casually. And then we started talking about doing a 24/7 dynamic. And that took some time. She's a feminist and she struggled with reconciling that. And then eventually she realized that as a feminist, she has the right to choose to be in that dynamic if that's what she wants. And that is totally aligned with feminism. So that took a while to reconcile for her. And once she had that realization or accepted that or believed that, it was not hard for her to make that jump. And so, but we're also polyamorous. We swing sometimes, but we're definitely lifestyle kinks in a power exchange dynamic. We like to play that way. We like to play, impact and bondage. And I'm also a rope guy. I like to do that kind of stuff. She likes that too. But yes, when it comes to sex, for me, there has to be some kink involved. I'm not very good with just vanilla sex. It's not what I want.
So when you are looking for partners to swing with, or even if you're, I think you just said polyamorous, right?
Yes, I have other partners as
Yes,
well.
that sounds hard to juggle.
Yeah, I have currently 2 other partners. They are long distance, so that helps in the juggling aspect because I'm juggling my primary dynamic. I have kids. I have 2 jobs basically.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to juggle. For my long distance partners, we are generally in power exchange when we're together. We might have an informal power exchange with a few things, but I don't have, I call it like domains of authority. So they're what you would negotiate like in a power exchange 24/7 dynamic, for example. So it's important, I think, to negotiate things like, well, it's 24/7 total power exchange, but is that for everything? Does the top have the right to choose medical or make medical care decisions, financial decisions? Can they family and friend type decisions, about their connections to other people? Do we draw lines and where do we draw them? When it's long distance, I tend to pretty much drop most of those domains of authority, except for maybe a few limited things on occasion. If a partner's trying to lose weight, for example, I might help them with that or certain very specific things. And then other than that, it's usually more of a very informal DS dynamic where I can be like, go do this, and they're going to do it. But we don't have like a negotiated, agreed. There's not going to be a consequence, really. I can't really punish them if they don't in that situation. Unless they choose. I can be like, well, I'd like to punish you. And they'd be like, okay, I deserve it. I'm going to take the punishment. But it's not an ongoing, agreed dynamic.
That makes sense. It's so customizable. It's like what everyone agrees to together. Can I ask about when your marriage changed from like DS into total power exchange? What did those changes look like?
Honestly, it wasn't a big change because we were already doing it. And that's what I told her. I was like, we're pretty much already doing it. Because if I were you to do something or ask you to do something, you do it. She does it. We already were doing it and operating that way. So all we did was take the time to carefully negotiate and draft an agreement, a power exchange like protocol document. We added a few kind of formal protocols, but really it didn't feel that much different. It was hotter though.
Yeah, I bet it was. But it's not like you changed into a high protocol dynamic versus what you were in before.
I love high protocol in theory, but in practice, I find it to be almost impossible in my world because I'm too busy. We're both too busy. What we did was we created a high protocol mode, and then we have sort of what we call like a regular mode. And regular mode is everyday stuff. She's not wearing a collar. She has very few protocols or a couple that we keep. But other than that, it's almost just like we're normal husband and wife. But of course, if I say do something, she's going to do it. And there's still rules, like there are very specific things. But then, like I might say, this Friday night, 7 o'clock, slave mode, she comes out dressed the way she's supposed to dress, wearing her collar, and she has to follow more of a high protocol rule, like book or whatever.
Like if even one person is working, high protocol 24/7 is a full-time job, right?
Correct.
Because
It's crazy. Yeah.
I don't actually know anyone, and that's probably because like I don't know the whole world. I don't know anyone in a 24/7 high protocol dynamic.
We would pretty much have to be independently wealthy with no kids and very little actual responsibility to pull that off, I think.
Yeah.
To do it right, to do it well.
I'm like, well, I don't have kids, but independently wealthy needs to is now like on the list because I can't even imagine fitting it in. But again, then I'm here doing a podcast and being a coach and doing all of these other
I know you want kids because I heard you say that on one of your episodes. Just before you decide to do that, make sure you talk to me about how much it affects your kink life because it does.
I think about all the time. And then like, we were talking about the age of people who come on the cruise. A lot of my clients, it's like I could bucket them or they don't even have to answer this question, but they're in their 40s. Their youngest just turned 5. And they're like, we're trying to reconnect. And it's, so you need your child to be 5 or above for that reconnection period. So I feel like
we have a 5 and a 3-year-old. And so I absolutely love them and I don't regret having them, but it is hard sometimes to look back over the last 5 or 6 years and see how much it affected my kink life.
Absolutely. Yes. Like if you talk about 24/7 high protocol, it's like keeping a child alive, I'm sure.
Oh my God, yes.
Medical decisions, family decisions, friends decisions.
Yes.
I feel like, again, we could do a flywheel of all of the other episodes you and I could record together based on kink, high protocol, your own dynamic. Because I know a lot of listeners, and I ask this question to everyone who's in a relationship, want to know, how did you meet your kinky partner? Did you build it together? Did you meet in the scene? Like, how did you find each other and get to this stage where you were so open that you could really live this lifestyle?
My 2 long distance partners were just the typical, we met on FetLife. So that was easy. But my wife, I actually met in the vanilla world. We had both come recently, like in the past year, come out of long-term relationships. She came to a show that I was doing. I'm an amateur musician, so she came to a show, saw me play, and her friend was in the band, and they introduced me. I think they're trying to set us up. I met her. I sensed that she was submissive. I don't want to act like I know I have some sort of like kinky radar or something, because I could have just sensed it wrong, but I mean, it was true. And so and at that point, I knew that I absolutely would not date anybody if they were not a submissive person and into kink. I had already made that decision or come to that realization. And so, I think her friend was trying to set us up, and I was like, well, she has to be kinky, but this is a vanilla context, and I can't even ask the friend if she is, and she probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
But I kind of sensed it. And I was very right. She was just completely new to it. She had done very little in terms of exploring at that point. And so it just worked. It worked very well from the beginning.
Okay. I always make content saying, like, you can't just assume someone's kinky in a certain way because XYZ. Like, but what were your indicators that made you think that she was possibly submissive?
Her mannerisms and the way she talked, interacted from the very beginning, she just kind of you just kind of get that feeling. She had that kind of very typical submissive, shy, anxious. She didn't look me in the eye right away. She was very easy to talk to, and it was more of just an overall vibe. It's hard for me to point out the specific things.
But it was vibing for you too.
It was.
You were
so I was just like, I'm going to explore this. I'm going to go on a date. I mean, I ended up kind of figuring out a way to she came to a thing, another party that we had, and then I asked her out and she said yes. And then after I think we waited to the 3rd obligatory date to actually get intimate. I just gently held her hands and then put them over her head. I didn't force her or anything, obviously, but I just kind of did that to see how she was all for it. She was do that. And so I was just put her hands over her head basically, and I was holding her hands. And if she wanted out, obviously I would have let her out in 2 seconds, or 0 seconds, but she didn't. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's a good sign right there. She wants to be held down. I thought they were hidden, but there were chains on them.
Oh my gosh.
I thought they were hidden, but they weren't hidden well enough, and she had noticed them, and that intrigued her. And so after a couple more times together, I asked her if she wanted to be tied up, and she said, I thought you'd never ask.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
The
Okay,
funny
so
thing from there, though, is that I had been to a bunch of rope bondage shibari workshops at the time. I've been to a lot more since then, but I knew some basic like rope patterns and stuff. They call it like kishi, like the diamond pattern and stuff. When I asked her that question, and she kind of envisioned like a 50 shades kind of like I'm going to get a tie and like just tie her hands up or something. And I got out rope and I started doing this intricate rope pattern on her, and she was absolutely shocked. She had never seen that before. And she was like, how did you learn how to do this? And I said, I've been to some workshops. And she's like, there's classes for this.
oh my gosh. A lot of people don't know that though.
Yes.
I know. It's like they don't realize how normalized it is that like we are out and about and like teaching each other our craft. Oh my God, I love that. What a great story. I mean, I always want to point out that that's basically like winning the lotto, meeting someone in the wild, and it's not impossible per
Yes.
your, you know,
I
like
feel like I won the lotto.
it's also rare because you guys didn't even really talk about it beforehand. It just sort
Not
of
really.
came out. I think now if you get on, there are apps, dating apps like Field or BD app, where there are a lot of kinky dating apps where you can talk about it
Hmm.
more openly. So we do
Yes.
have slightly more opportunity to talk about it than maybe.
None of that stuff was around. Felt like I don't even think was around yet, or it was brand new. And I should probably point out that I was also brand new to kink at the time, and my consent practices today would look very different. So I think if that's important to know that we all learn and grow from a consent and negotiation perspective as well. And I had never been to a consent class at that point. No, I didn't have a mentor. I was brand new myself. I'd been to a few workshops. So,
Oh, again, Lee, another entire episode on how we've
oh God,
grown into
yes,
understanding consent.
yes.
Working in a dungeon as a dominatrix, we had safe words, but like I definitely had
Hmm.
a safe word, but it was a different world too,
Yes,
you know? And that
yeah.
was only, I guess, 12 or 13 years ago now. But we've come a long way even in that time with consent and just, it's sort of like the difference between swingers and people in the kink community. The kink community became very consent forward, rightfully so. And now it's at the forefront of every conversation where I don't think it was in the same way even 15 years ago.
100%. When I started in the kink community, which was about the time that I met her, it was just maybe 6 months before or a year, there were very few workshops on consent. People did not talk about it. That really became popular a few years later when there was a lot of kind of cancel culture going on, and then it became a really hot topic, and people started teaching consent workshops, and it became a big thing.
That all actually does line up. Basically, the Me Too movement and cancel culture
Hmm.
around things made people realize, okay, we need to be very clear on what
Yes.
someone wants. When it comes to meeting people on the cruise,
Hmm.
is this going to be a good place for people to meet? Is it all couples showing up? Who's on the cruise? What's, I guess, the dynamic of the people who come on the cruise?
Yes, I'm so excited for this, by the way. Bruce, I've been wanting to do something like this for like 5 years. And it's not like you can just call a cruise ship and be like, I want to do this. Like you need millions of dollars and to like charter a cruise and to make it clothing optional or sex positive and all that. So I finally had the opportunity to work with the Bliss cruise. And if you're not familiar with that, it's the biggest and best kind of lifestyle cruise company out there. They've been in business for about 10 years. They've chartered, I think, 20-ish or over 20 ships at this point. And we're talking the big ones, like the mid-sized, the big Royal Caribbean and Celebrity brand, which are also, in my opinion, the best cruise ships out there, generally speaking. They're the best brand and they do a great job. Everything's great on those ships. So they do 3 ships a year right now. Sometimes one of them is one of those Oasis class ships, which are like 6,000 people. The other ones are on like Celebrity Solstice class, which are about 3,000 people. So they're doing 9 to 12,000 people a year on these ships. It's incredible. And these are lifestyle, they're completely chartered. So they have clothing optional areas, like usually the upper decks, the outside decks are clothing optional, and they have sex positive areas as well. They bring in like all these mattresses. They have big playrooms, over 120 beds, I think they have on the ships. So they
Wow.
have playrooms that are sex positive, and they have a sex positive dungeon as well. And then they pack, just like we do at our events, they pack the ship with programming. So there's seminars and parties and all kinds of different fun events and stuff. So to circle back to your question, what we're doing is basically kind of what we do at Hedonism, which is taking a kinky niche group on the ship or at the resort and putting on, having add-on programming and events, right, for our group. And we're creating ways for people to connect. That's a big part of what we do. For example, if you come by yourself and you're on a 3,000 person ship, how do you meet people? That's really hard to do. And you might see them on day one and never see them again.
Because you're basically in a small town or a big town.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we do is, from the beginning, before the event, we have, like a Discord chat. And so everybody's getting to know each other. We do like a video call where people can introduce themselves. And then once we get there, we're in our own little world. We have our own group. We have our own kind of workshops and programming and events and we're all trying to eat together in the same little area. Even at Hedonism, we tend to have our own area of the restaurant, like the main dining area. So we all join each other. And then also we make these like really nice handmade necklaces and because if you're naked, you can't wear a name tag very easily. Like you're not going to pin, well, some people might be into pinning themselves with a name tag.
I know. I'm thinking, like, well, there's some people who could easily do it. I'm not one of them.
I'm not one of them either. So everybody can put their either scene name or their real name, whatever they prefer. We have these really unique, distinctive, nice looking name necklaces that are handmade. And so everybody wears a name necklace and you can easily identify somebody in the group from their necklace. And so it's like, hey, come sit with us or can I join you kind of thing at all the meals and things like that. So we all basically spend the week together and it's really easy to get to know each other. And then we also do things like kinky speed dating and we have icebreakers. I think we're going to do it again on the cruise. Kinky bingo. We had these great presenters from Los Angeles that ran that for us and it was so much fun. So we're going to probably keep that going as well.
This sounds like literally my dream, to just be on a big kinky vacation. It's almost like one of my favorite books is Exit to Eden, which is like,
there was a movie with Rosie O'Donnell, wasn't it?
I haven't seen the movie because I'm so like it's
good.
So different, but it's so different from the book. I think I need to see the movie, but like
I can't find it. I tried to find it. It doesn't seem to be available anywhere anymore. So if you find it, let me know.
I will. I looked it up recently because there might even be another episode where someone else tells me to go watch it. And I'm like, okay, I'll go watch it. So I think I did look it up recently.
I watched it like pre-lifestyle, like before I was actually in the lifestyle. So I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but I remember liking it. It's probably going to have sort of a 50 Shades kind of response, like, hey, that's not real. And no, it's definitely not real. But it was still real actors that in mainstream kink, and the whole movie was based on kink, like a kink island, so it was pretty funny.
Yeah, so like this is sort of like a kink vacation, like as you're describing it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it sounds like there are so many fun events and I'm excited it exists because I think that like anywhere that our community can come together in different ways and like it's just as kink grows and becomes more well known, I think we have more people getting on FetLife, more people talking about kink. I know that there are a lot more people who are open to talking about how they went to a kinky convention than maybe even 5 years ago with their friends.
Yes.
So I'm excited for the cruise and just meeting more Kinksters who love the lifestyle so much that they're willing to build a vacation around it.
I don't want to go on vanilla vacations anymore.
This is the problem. And that the beauty is we don't have to. Okay. So number one, we don't have to. But this is also like once you do start, you're like, wait, these are my people. And it's addictive in the best way.
Yeah.
To be surrounded.
But I have to wear clothes.
I'm a clothes wearer, but I'm also like a nudist at heart too.
I am definitely a nudist.
I hate wearing clothes. So something I do want to address because you do have a workaround for this. The way the cruise is set up, it needs to be one man, one woman to every room, but there can be a third person and that could be another man or another woman.
Yeah, you can have up to 4 people in some rooms. Like the cruise ships have some rooms that are 2 people, some rooms that are designated for 3 or 4 people because they have extra beds or whatever. So, cruise ship rooms are very small. So you have to be pretty comfortable with the people you're sharing a cabin with if there's going to be 3 or 4 people in a room. But, it's going to be cozy. Yes. And this is something that I wish was different. And it's one of the big differences between kind of the swinger world and the kink world, which is there are still a lot of heteronormative policies in the swinger world. And it's changing. It's changing very quickly right now. And I see it changing soon. But the reality, though, is the cruise ship rules are not based as much on those kind of older swinger policies as they are on the economics of a cruise ship, which means you need more bodies on the ship because the cruise ship economic model is based on people spending money on the ship. And so what they really don't want is people to book single cabins. They won't allow that. So you have to have two people in a room. If you're a single person wanting to go, we welcome it. You just have to have a roommate or two or three roommates.
But you've
which is
set it up to help people find it through FetLife. That's
We're
what I want.
trying.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. We do have a couple ways to do that. We have on FetLife, we have a group. It's the ConCations group. So you can find it through our profile too, which is ConCations. And there's a seeking thread on our group. So you can people post there saying, hey, I want to go out to this event, but I'd like a roommate or whatever. We also welcome people to just email us on our support. We have like WhatsApp, we have text messages, like contact us. Let us know that you're seeking a roommate and what you're kind of looking for. And we keep a list. And if we see a potential match, we message both people and say, here's a little bit about this person. Are you okay with like sharing your information and connecting you both? And if they both say yes, then we connect them.
Amazing. And what I want to call out is like, normally when I go to parties, I have friends that I go with. So like, if I'm room sharing, I room share with one of them. But like, there are quick things. I just want to throw in some tips. If you are deciding to room with someone, talk about how you would handle someone else coming back to the room. Talk about
Yes.
like how many clothes you're bringing and how you like to set that up, because there might not be enough hanger space for both
Yes.
people. Having those conversations in advance can set you up for success in having a good roommate situation. And if you find a good roommate, that person can become your roommate for every party.
And lifelong friend too. But I will point out that at all of our events, at Hedonism, in pretty much the entire resort and on this ship, our dungeon and certain areas of the resort are sex positive, and there's playrooms, and there's lots of places to have sex and play. You don't have to come back to your room.
Yes.
So keep that in mind too. Like the room is not necessarily going to be where you're doing that anyway. So that helps a lot.
That is a really great point to make. Okay, so if you want to be kinky next to a pool on the beach, is that correct? You guys even have like a beach
Oh
option?
God, yeah. Well, we obviously do that at Hedo all week, but I'm really excited about this beach party. So the Bliss Cruise loves to have beach party excursions, but it's a struggle. You'd be surprised in the Caribbean, it's really hard to find places that will allow nudity, even if you do a takeover on a beach. And a sex positive they've never done that before, been able to find a place that allowed it. But because we regularly work in Jamaica, we were able to find a place that is allowing us to have a sex positive event on a private beach. And so that'll be open to the entire ship, but the Kinky Cruise people get it for free. And so we're going to have buses. You get off the ship in Jamaica. It's about 10 minutes away, give or take. And we have this whole beach location just to ourselves. And we have all of our dungeon equipment from Kinky Caribbean and Swinkation in Jamaica. So we're going to set up a whole dungeon on the beach. And there'll be another tent that has beds for, the typical lifestyle play, like more vanilla play or sex. There's going to be reggae bands and food and alcohol is included. And for people that want to pay a little extra, there's a coral reef marine park there, like a protected coral reef, and you can go snorkeling or kayaking or, paddleboarding, that kind of stuff as well. So that's going to be a whole day up until about sunset, which is also going to be spectacular because the sun sets right over the water at this beach.
Love a good sunset. Okay, I don't want to be dense here, but when you say sex positive, does that mean that I can live out my dream of having sex on a beach?
While drinking a sex on a beach.
Well, drinking a sex on the beach, I love it.
We allow these sex positive play spaces on the ship are 100% sex positive. Like, you can have all the kinds of sex.
Yes. Okay. I wanted to be sure because I'm a rule follower. I have not had sex on a beach because I'm like, it's illegal. You can't do it anywhere or I wouldn't be allowed. But now this is like a way to tick another one off the bucket list item in a safe way. I'm a big rule follower, believe it or not. So
I believe it.
Yeah. Well, some people think I wouldn't be because of like how open I am about a lot of things. So I'm like, I'm open, but I'm rigid on like how I explore things. So that's super exciting as well, because you would think most cruises offer something like this, but they don't. Like most cruises like this would offer something like this, but this is rare.
They don't. Yeah, this is rare. I think from what I understand, this will be the first time they've done a sex positive event on a beach. So that's going to be big, and we're really excited about that. So yeah, we're talking about connecting. Another thing we're going to do is, how if you've been on a cruise before, like you're not supposed to travel the day your cruise leaves, you're supposed to come the night before.
Yes.
So we got a hotel near the port. So all of our group we're going to have like a rooftop pool party and a meet and greet before we even get on the ship as well. So, and we organize all the transportation as well. So all the Kinky Cruise people can fly in to Fort Lauderdale where the cruise leaves from, and then they'll get picked up and taken to the hotel, and then we'll have a pool party, and then in the morning they'll get taken to the cruise ship.
So like there's like a lot of chance to connect on that really
Yes.
intimate level. So before you even get on this huge cruise ship, you have time to connect with
Yes,
people.
and it's just us in a small area. It'll
Yeah.
just be the kinky people, not like on this huge cruise ship before it
Yeah.
even starts. So everybody already know each other, or most of the people. Not everyone will be at that party, obviously, but
But this is a really good chance to like, okay, because that's the other piece. It's like the stepping stones to being willing to do this. And I know just from being in this world talking to people, I know my experienced Kinksters, especially my experienced couple Kinksters, it's not a huge leap for them to go book a cruise and get on this. But what about the beginners? Like a couple that I coach maybe who are
Mhm.
just being introduced to it. Do you feel this is a good opportunity for them to immerse themselves in community?
I mean, this is the best opportunity for, I mean, and I know I'm biased, but I see this. We're doing 3 events now a year or so, starting with the cruise next year. It is just every single time we see beginners come, and they come out not feeling like beginners anymore. They are loving their life. They are mad at themselves for not doing this sooner. You know, and a lot of times the beginners, it's rare for it to be their very first event, although that has happened a handful of times. But they've gone to like a few local events. They're still kind of like we scared and, you know, like deer in headlights with the whole thing. They didn't really talk to a lot of people at their first event and all of that. So when they come to this event, you know, our events are small enough that pretty much everybody gets to know everybody. And so because it's immersive, you're in it, and you're in it for a week, all day, every day, 24/7. And you're among other beginners, and you're among really advanced people and everything in between. And you also have the opportunity to go to endless workshops and just kind of be in the culture. So you're absorbing it like crazy. And so this is, in my opinion, if you know you are going to be in the lifestyle, you've already come to the realization that this is for you, or you want to explore. You're like, I think this is something we want to explore. We're not sure about it. This is an amazing way to do it. And one of the great things is that they're at resorts or on cruise ships. So if it turns out it's not for you, that's fine. You can go do a million other things. That you can go scuba diving. You can go to the other pool. You don't have to go to the kinky stuff if you like get there and you're like, this isn't for you.
Oh my
But
gosh.
that's never happened though. It's
No,
never
I'm sure
happened.
it hasn't, but there's an out there. The other thing
Yes.
that, like, I know a lot of people contact me, especially through social media, to say, like, I don't want to go to a local event in case I run into someone I know,
Oh
right?
yeah, but they're there too.
They're there, right? But like this could be for you because you know if someone's showing up to a cruise, they're serious about this lifestyle and they're probably going to be as discreet as you are.
Correct.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which I
Yeah.
know is a huge fear, but like I would recommend this. This is stuff that I wish existed, especially when I was just a little earlier in. It's so fun,
Hmm.
but now I get to enjoy
Yes.
it now, and I'm
Yes.
so glad you guys have created it.
So if they use your code at kinkycruise.com, every person on their in their room will get $50 off. So it could be $200 off the room code if it's a 4-person room. And if they use your code to go to Kinky Caribbean, which is in March at Hedonism Resort in Jamaica, each person in the room will get $75 off their room. So that's a little bit higher value.
But we're still using TKC 50,
Same
right?
code for
Same
either
code.
event. It
Okay.
works at both events. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I love this. Listeners, I love that I'm able to extend this to you because I think that these are the events that are where you meet your community, where you make your lifelong friends and have an amazing vacation. So I highly suggest you go check it out. Head to kinkycruise.com to use that code TKC50 for $50 off for each person in a room. This opportunity, these are so new for people. So I highly recommend you check this out because it's amazing to go meet your community and meet your lifelong friends. It's something that I started doing just 2 years ago, going to these national parties and conventions. And it's changed how much I really get to enjoy my life, you know, both my vanilla and kinky life. So check it out.
So Kinky Caribbean,
And
just
then
one word, kinkycaribbean.com.
kinkycaribbean.com
Yep.
for hedonism.
In March, early March, we have Kinky Caribbean, which is similar to Kinky Cruise, but it's at the resort instead of on the ship. And
Okay.
it's more of a kink-centric event, whereas Swinkation is more of a swinky event. So it's a combination of swingers and lifestyle kinksters and kinky explorers and swinky and everything in between. And it's a really fun event too. So we'll make sure you have a code for that one. We haven't even announced next year yet. So when that comes out, we'll make sure your listeners have a chance to get a discount for that one too.
So Kinky Cruise, or Kinky Caribbean. Check
Yes.
them out, explore, see what's right for you. Maybe you're not a cruise ship person, but there are options for our like if you don't want to be at sea, there are options for you as well. Okay, awesome. Lee, thank you so much for coming here today. I've had so much fun talking about your actual lifestyle that you lived, your relationship dynamic, and in addition to all of this. So thanks for coming, sharing, and just opening up.
Me too.
So appreciate it. And
Thank you very much for this opportunity. This was really fun.
I had so much fun, and hopefully we will see each other soon.
Definitely.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Email info@thekinkconsultant.com. Until next time, keep on kinking on.